Hi guys, Brian here from the gas station again. I have a little, I guess a little Contax love today. Kind of wanted to go over some of my Contax SLRs and you know, sort of the Yashica related stuff. So I'll just I'm going to gloss over a lot of stuff here, but I just wanted to give you sort of like a quick tour around sort of like what's available for at least what I have as far as Contax equipment is concerned. And I'm primarily going to be going over the RTS system. And the RTS was Contax's sort of pro line of SLRs at the time. They're also, you know, Contax, of course, you know, also famous for, you know, rangefinders and, you know, the Contax G series, which is was sort of their competitor for, you know, against Leica, trying to compete with the M6 and the like, but with autofocus and the such, but with just great quality glass from Carl Zeiss. But yeah, so I just kind of wanted to go over the RTS stuff a little bit. What I have here on the table today is I have a Contax RTS II, the quartz, a Contax RTS over here. I have the Yashica FX3 Super, and behind those, just for sort of size comparison, back there, I don't know if you can see them, is the Contax G1. I have a G2 also, but you know, the G1 is sort of more comparative in size. The G2 I think is a little closer to the RTS2 in size. But I just wanted to sort of give you, again, like I said, a size comparison. So anyway, so basically, like I said, I wanted to go over the RTS system primarily. This is the original RTS. Let's move this guy out of the way a little bit. This is the original RTS, and the RTS is, you know, a standard SLR. The RTS itself, you know, again, a professional grade camera meant to, you know, really handle the rigors of continuous use. Very high quality, very well made. Some of the specs on it, just so you know, it goes up to 1/2000th of a second. It does give you an aperture priority mode, which is really nice. So you, but you know, it's either aperture priority or manual. There is a meter in the camera, and this is a meter or an exposure check, and this one actually has a like a mechanical needle basically that goes up and down and tells you where you are in your exposure in the viewfinder. So, you know, very nice camera, very nice to work with. It's got a self-timer here. I'm not going to, again, go through the whole range of what this camera is about. I'm going to talk a little bit more about the RTS2. The RTS is a fine camera, but I think for the money, I would rather get the RTS2. I think it's just a little bit, you know, the improvements are nicer. You know, it has some more upgrades, and it's just, I think, just a little bit smoother and easier to work with, and has some cool features and stuff like that. Not that I have anything against the RTS. I just personally prefer the RTS2. But the interesting thing about Contax is they have the Contax Yashica mount, and now Contax and Yashica were owned, you know, by the same company. I believe at this time it was Kyocera, which, or if it wasn't at this point, it was leading to that. But they shared the lens mount, and they utilized the Carl Zeiss glass or Yashica glass, so they have their own special mount for that. So if you own a Contax RTS2 or an RTS3 or an RX or anything like that, you can use any of the Contax Contax Yashica mount lenses on these cameras, and they're sort of backwards or sideways compatible with the Yashica cameras like the FX3. So you can buy a Carl Zeiss lens for your RTS or your RTS3 and go back and use that on your cheapy FX3, which is actually a great camera, but it shares that common mount, which is really nice. So you can exchange lenses between the two. The FX3 here, the Super that I have, is a really light little camera, and they're inexpensive enough so if something happens to the camera, you're not going to worry too much about it. The RTS, and more so the RTS II, get to be a little bit more pricey as you go. So, you know, you want to be a little bit more careful with those. But all in all, they're great cameras. I really like the metering on all of these cameras. This camera, the FX3 Super, this is the FX Super 2000. It definitely feels a little bit cheaper, but it's all in all still a very nice camera to use. It's comfortable. It's got this little finger grip right there, self timer. Not really fancy. No auto exposure on it whatsoever. It's an all manual camera, so. But it does have a meter built in, a match meter, so, you know, as you adjust your exposure, it'll show you whether or not you're over or underexposed. So, I mean, really pretty much everything you would need in a camera, and the lenses are fantastic. The Yashica lenses I've actually been very, very happy with. I don't have any of the contact lenses, but after I was, you know, shooting with some of the Yashica lenses, I didn't really feel like there was a need to really spend all the money and get the Contax lenses. Again, I'm not really a pixel peeper, so it doesn't really matter so much to me. For me, it's more about, you know, is my shot composed well? Is my exposure right? Is it reasonably sharp? And, you know, the Yashica lenses, for me, I think do a great job, and I think in many, you know, cases they come close to their Carl Zeiss counterparts. I mean, on some lenses, you know, that's not the case, but for the most part, again, for me and my use, I'm really very pleased with them, and I'm especially pleased with this lens here. This is the Yashica 1.4 50 millimeter lens, and it really has just turned out to be just a wonderful lens. Actually, one of my favorite lenses. I love the out of focus areas, or as I like to call the UFA. We look at your picture and go, "Oofa, look at that," and I hate the bokeh and the bokeh and whatever. It's out of focus area, I think, you know, which is much nicer. The bokeh thing is a little tiring for me, but anyway. So the differences primarily between the RTS and the RTS2 is the RTS is more electronic. The meter in here is electronic. It's, you know, got an LED readout, has an electronic self timer as opposed to mechanical self timer. More electronic. So that's either a good thing or a bad thing. I don't know. This one is electronic as well, but not as many of the functions are controlled by the electronics. So you can see they're virtually the same design. The RTS2 is definitely more of an upgrade, and there are a few more features on it. Both feature, you know, the mirror lockup and stuff like that, and there are some shared similarities between the two. But again, you know, it's the mount, the lens mount, that's the most important, you know, thing. So, you know, you can shoot with that wonderful Contax or Yashica glass. This is the 50 millimeter 1.9. Yes, 1.9, and this is the 1.4. This lens, like I said, is spectacular. And then just sort of, like I said, for comparison's sake, I have my G1 here. And if you have the G1 next to, let's say, the FX3, I mean, they're pretty close, honestly. The size is about the same. You do have a little bit more height on the FX3, but the deck is actually lower here than it is on the G1. So it's a very compact camera. You have a bigger lens, but, you know, they're around the same size. You're not going to be like, oh my gosh, this SLR is so much more huge than my G1. It's just not going to happen. So they're pretty close. So I just, again, like I said, I wanted to show you that for a size comparison. Excuse me. And I'll go over the RTS2 a little bit more for you. If you guys want more of an in-depth review on the original RTS, I can do that. Just let me know, and I'll see about getting that done for you. So anyway, let's give you a little tour right here. Again, this is the RTS2. Excuse me, my voice is just, I'm losing it today. Anyway, so some of the features on here, there is a mechanical shutter release in case the battery dies on this. At this period in time when people were making cameras, things were becoming more sort of electronic and battery operated, and everybody's like, oh my gosh, if I run out of battery, what am I going to do? So they gave you an option to trip the shutter here. if you don't have batteries. It's also a depth of field preview here, which is nice. Electronic self timer. It's got a little LED that flashes, gives you 10 seconds. This is your auto exposure lock, or your exposure lock rather, and then on here, so you would flip that to lock your exposure, flip it down to take it off. This is an exposure check button in the middle, so if you put it in auto mode, it's just going to do whatever it does depending upon what your aperture is set at. But if you want to see what that is, you can hit that and light it up if you're kind of want to see what the camera is doing. It's got an electromagnetic shutter, which is really nice and smooth. You got a power switch right here. That's off and then on. It's a manual wind camera. I do have film in here, so I'm not going to open it up, and I know you guys are going to yell at me about that, but whatever. Actually, I will wind it on here. No, it's already been wound. Yeah, so the manual wind here. I'm going to show you the power winder I have also. This is your ISO settings here. You would adjust that by lifting this ring and adjusting that. This is your underneath here is your exposure compensation dial, and you would just turn this to change to go to underexpose, and then going the other way to overexpose. Actually, I think it's over this way and under this way. Which is really nice. So you have exposure compensation, and have the viewfinder curtain. So if you're doing tripod stuff and you don't have your eye up against there, it's not going to affect your exposure at all by errant light entering through the viewfinder. Around here, this is your auto mode, and you would switch that to go to full manual, and you would change your shutter speeds here, lock that in for automatic. This button is the release for that. Moving around over here, this is your mirror lockup here, so that's going to lock your mirror up. This is for a remote release, a standard remote release, like a plunger type. On the back here, this is for the Contax. They have a proprietary electronic button release, which you can use there. Film counter here. Let's see, what else do we have? X-Sync socket, which is nice. Really very solid feeling camera. You can do double exposures with this. You would wind it on, hit the shutter release, take your picture, hit the film wind release, which is right here. Just press it and release it, and then wind on again. That'll cock the shutter, and you can take another picture. This is actually the wrong battery door for this. Hey, I'm looking for, if anybody out there has one, I'm looking for another battery door for my other RTS. If anybody has one, I would love. I really need one. So if you could let me know if you have it, I'd be happy to buy it from you. But anyway, just get in contact with me. I would really appreciate it. So anyway, going forward, so really nice little camera, very comfortable. It feels really nice in the hand. The ergonomics of Contax I've always liked very much. Very comfortable cameras. What I did end up doing was what you see here is I've attached the they call it a real-time W3, I think the grip is called. So I've attached a battery grip to it, and the battery grip is really wonderful. It gives you a nice, really comfortable grip on the camera. It has a shutter button here, so you can hold it in portrait mode. I don't know if you can see that, and then release the shutter. So like a true modern battery grip. It makes the camera very comfortable, easy to use. There's a shutter release there, and there, so you got 3 shutter releases, whatever you want to do. It's really, it makes the camera very comfortable to hold, very easy to hold, so you get a little bit steadier shot. It does make the camera a bit heavier, but I don't really mind that so much. So anyway, so yeah, all in all, like I said, just a really wonderful camera, very comfortable, lots of accessories, lots of options. It was Contax's professional system. They came out later with the RTS III, which incorporated motor drive and a lot more features and stuff like that. That's also a much more expensive camera. You're looking sort of in the, $350 and up range for those. This one you could probably find in the $200 range, $200 to $250. somewhere around there. But really a very nice camera, very German in feel, and I like it a lot. I know it's not German, it's Japanese. I don't know if I mentioned that already before, but anyway, yeah, the Contax RTS system, use the Yashica lenses, use the Contax Carl Zeiss lenses rather, and I think you're going to find a really wonderful little camera that should last you a good long time, and I think you would definitely enjoy it. It's one of my favorite cameras. It's one I'm very proud to have in my collection, and I do use it a lot. I really like this camera. So anyway, that's about it. Oh, there's two options: continuous and single shot on the motor drive / battery grip. I like to pimp out my cameras a little bit, so that's kind of fun. But anyway, that's about it. If you have any other questions, concerns, if I've screwed something up, I know you guys will say something, and I appreciate that. And I appreciate the community you guys provide, and the questions and answers that everybody helps each other with when it comes to using old cameras. I love the old film cameras. I love Contax stuff. Definitely been a real fan of that. So, guys, once again, thanks for watching the Gas Station. I really appreciate it. Again, any questions or concerns, let me know. And I do have more stuff to come. So stay tuned. And thanks very much. Bye.